Andy Rice, the branding and advertising expert. Give me a sense of what you want to talk about. Philanthropic advertising. What is philanthropic advertising? It is when an ad agency does adverts for nothing.
Not quite, Bruce, no. Let me explain
Because they never do anything for nothing.
Exactly. Let me explain it in a way that I think a man of letters like you would appreciate. You know what an oxymoron is.
Yes, yes.
And those nice little two-word phrases that have a built-in tension, like military intelligence or Mexican cuisine, or my favourite of all from the insurance industry, death benefits.
Oh, yeah, now death benefit is my favourite, yes.
Well, I think that philanthropic advertising or philanthropic marketing is another of those oxymorons, because it looks terribly attractive on paper. It seems to be that companies are finding their souls and finding their roles in society and giving things away for free on street corners. But of course, there is no such thing as a free lunch, and I suspect that philanthropic marketing is the latest buzz phrase for things like cause-related marketing, or indeed the increasing convergence of companies' CSI budgets with their hard-nosed marketing strategies. So I suspect it's, there are beneficiaries beyond the people who buy the brand, but I suspect it's all done with good commercial instincts at heart.
Now, give me a sense of this. You talk about the convergence of the corporate social responsibility or corporate social investment budget / marketing, because that is a very dangerous little pool to play in, surely.
Well, yes and no. The chairman's budget was normally the one that the CSI funds came out of. And I think we've discussed this before on the show. We've spoken about concepts like brand citizenship, where what is tending to happen now is instead of the chairman or the chairman's wife, by anecdotal story, decides where they're going to throw several millions worth of chairman's funds, now the marketing director is standing up and saying, if we put those into good causes still, but causes that were closely related to what we want to achieve with our brands, then we win twice over. We still get the kudos for being generous members of society, but we're actually putting the money where it reinforces and accelerates what we're doing in commercial world.
I mean, and again, it's how you do it as to whether or not it's effective, because there's probably no document in the world read less than the CSI report of any company. It might come in a pack with the annual report. Nowadays, it appears online. If it gets 3 clicks, it must be a lot.
You're dead right. You're not just being cynical. I'm sure that's true, and it's why.
No, it is true. I'm absolutely certain it's true.
And that's why I think to see the funds being put into more concrete marketing use is a good idea. So you've got brands that have set the pace globally, like Tom's shoes, whereby every pair of shoes they sell, they give another pair away to deserving people, and that's a very uncommercial operation. I went into their store in LA not so long ago, and you wouldn't think you were in a shoe store. There just happened to be a few shoes scattered amongst the people sleeping on the floor and drinking coffee. Then there's Warby Parker, who've also made a big business out of philanthropy by giving away reading glasses and proper prescription lenses to people who need them for every pair they sell. So that's the good solid commercial way of doing it, and it's an extension of cause-related marketing, which has been around for a long time. If you've ever had a pizza veneziana anywhere, you would be interested to learn that came from Pizza Express in London, who donated £1 or so for every pizza sold to the protection of Venice against flood damage, and hence the Pizza Veneziana. And that's put a lot of money into preserving the city of Venice over the years.
A bit like KFC's, I think, what is it, add £2 or
Add
something
hope,
to
yes.
the meal. Add Hope, the Add Hope campaign. They are using their shops, they're using their shops as basically collection points for the goodwill of customers.
The difference being, as you infer there, that the money is coming from us and not from the company's own resources. That's not to say that it hasn't been a hugely successful and has deserved all the awards it's won. But that's a slight spin on it, in the sense that they are sourcing the extra funds from their customers rather than from funds they may have acquired elsewhere.
So we've got this convergence of CSI and marketing, and the marketing director is saying, hold on a second, we're giving away a whole bunch of money that adds zero value to our brand because we do it responsibly and quietly. It can do exactly the same work, yet we can get some mileage out of it. So that is the commercialization then of the CSI report. But when you look then at this issue of philanthropic advertising, surely it goes much broader than that.
I think it depends how deeply it goes as much as how broadly it goes, because there's a big difference between a temporary initiative, which is what cause-related marketing often is. We'll run something for 6 months and say that schools will benefit for every box of Omo we sell, or those instances where it is more deeply ingrained in the value set of the organisation, and it's the kind of thing they would do anyway. The late, great Robin Putter at Ogilvy, the advertising agency, used to talk about the evolution from the big idea being what advertising agencies and their clients were chasing to the big ideal, and just the addition of that letter L at the end transforms the motivation and the business model on which advertising is based.
Who's doing it here in an effective way?
Well, I think a lot of businesses are doing it through other organizations such as Business Leadership South Africa and those kind of initiatives. They're finding ways to dispense funds. But I think there's a rapidly increasing realization that people who buy everything from chicken to opening bank accounts look not just at the value they get from the product they buy, but the value that is inherent in the attitude of the business from which they buy those products. So corporate values are becoming an important part of the purchase choice equation.
So if we look, for example, at Woolworths' Good Business Journey, is that philanthropic advertising? Does that fit within that category?
Well, I have to go back to my slightly cynical comment at the beginning about oxymorons. If you take the generous view of philanthropic advertising or philanthropic marketing, yes, it is. But I think it's just good marketing these days. It's just good business to make sure that as many stakeholders as possible benefit, because all of those farmers, all of those suppliers to Woolworths who are getting a really good deal because they are in some way involved in the ethical supply chain, they're getting an enhanced sense of the value of the Woolworths brand just as much as you or I are when we go in and buy some exotic little set of vegetables from our local Woolies.
Now, there is that, but then also the moment you hold yourself above everybody else, you put yourself into the public domain saying, we are better than everybody else because our values say we behave like this, then invariably you become a target for the detractors. Does that not then undermine this good marketing message? Yes,
you're right, Bruce. Then you have to look at the issue of corporate modesty, and that comes back to the value system of the business. If we are going to give away substantial amounts of money in a move that's on the surface philanthropic, are we going to make a big song and dance about it? Are we going to go out there and run ads saying, look what we're doing for education, health, or whatever? Many companies choose to be much more discreet about it and set up foundations. So you've got the Ford Foundation, the Kellogg Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which significantly was not called the Microsoft Foundation because it was not meant to be a marketing gesture. So all of those initiatives are the sign of companies that choose still to be extremely generous, but choose also not to try and make commercial mileage out of their generosity.
And what about philanthropic advertising that preaches? There's nothing perhaps more destructive from a marketing perspective than being preached at by a campaign, a company, or a project.
Yes, immediately the spectre of greenwashing, which is the ecology equivalent of philanthropic marketing, arises. People say, methinks they doth protest too much. And you assume that they're actually trying to cover up for something or that they're trying to hide something. And that kind of opportunist stuff, I think the consumer sees through very quickly. There's bags of research that claims to show how a philanthropic component to a brand offering shoots the lights out in terms of customer preference. Personally, I take that with a grain of salt. I think that when all other things are equal, and it's clearly an honest and deep-seated beneficial marketing, philanthropic marketing exercise, then yes, I think people will be swayed to support that brand. But I think we're more cynical than that, and we tend to assume that most people are doing it for commercial reasons rather than out of the goodness of their hearts.
It's very hard to see it any other way, Andy, but the bottom line is, if it delivers on the promise of making the world a better place, the orphanage a better place, the animals happier, whatever it promises to do, well, it's doing a good thing. And, in a world where money is scarce, I suppose we should be a little bit grateful for some of that.
And where it is genuine, where it is deeply ingrained in the company, it is not only doing some good things for unexpected beneficiaries, but it's actually doing good business for the company. There are lots of case studies that show when done properly, when it's integrated into the company, when it's absolutely clear that it is genuinely philanthropic in the best sense of that word, then you find that there are commercial results that go along with it as well.
Andy Rice, the branding and advertising expert on The Money Show. Our But Does It Work feature, tonight's topic, philanthropic advertising. Do you believe the big companies when they tell you that they're just better than everybody else? Some might.